Okay, so in the last video on operators, we discussed about an interesting operator which was called the ternary operator or the conditional operator. Taking the idea forward, in this video we'll talk about conditional statements, which are just a more elaborate way and a prettier way of writing the same conditionals which we wrote using conditional operator. So okay, let me revise what we have done till now. So if you have come along with me, you must know how to take simple input-output using cout and cin, and you must know about variables. So conditional statements would be our next big step towards becoming a good programmer. Talking about conditional statements, we need to talk about four basic things: comparison operators, if-else, switch case, and conditional expression. Comparison operators and conditional expressions, we have already talked about them. Switch case would be the topic of a next video. In this video, we'll talk about if-else statements. Here, I have already created a project if-else. In this, I am trying to check if a given number is negative or not. So I have taken input from the user, and at the end of the program I have also printed the value of a. Now I want to check if the number is negative or not. So I need to fill in the statement inside this pair of parentheses of if. What should I write here? Whatever I write should evaluate to either true or false and nothing else. So remember about the comparison operators we talked about in operators video. They compared two variables or two values and result was either true or false. So we can make use of that here. I write a less than 0. This would result to true if a is a negative number, and if it's a positive number or a 0, this would be false. What do I want to do if this statement evaluates to true would be written after this. That is, I write cout, the number is negative. So this is a very simple program based on if else. I'm missing a semicolon here, so yeah, so I write -2, I get number is negative and a -2. Let me put an endl as well. And yeah, let's take it for positive number as well. I write a 2 and I get 2. So that's okay. Now let's say what I want to do is print the absolute value of the number. So if the number is negative, I wish to reverse its sign. That is, I do a equals to -a. Let's try this now. So I write -2 and I get number is negative, reversing sign, a positive value 2. So that's okay, it's good. What if I write 2? Oops, I get a -2. Why did that happen? This was because the if statement has a block of lines which it executes if the statement is true and do not execute if the statement is false, if the expression is false. So by default, the statement just after the if statement is considered a part of the if block. So this statement is the part of if blocks, whereas this is not. So what should I do if I want to make both of these statements as part of ifs? I can put a pair of braces here. This makes everything inside this pair of braces as the part of if block, and hence both of these statements are evaluated when this expression is true, and both of these statements are skipped when this evaluates to false. Now this would work fine. We can check it. I can write a positive number. It gives 2. and it was working fine for negative number. You can recheck if you want. -2, it's right. So while writing your codes, you should take care of these braces. If you forget them, your logic would not work. So another mistake which is usually made is putting a semicolon after this. So semicolon indicates the end of a statement. So if I write a semicolon here, this indicates that a statement has ended. But nothing is written before semicolon. So this means there is an empty statement. This is called a null statement. So this if statement evaluates to true, and then the immediate next block of code or the next statement is executed. So this would be executed, and the rest of the program would be executed irrespective of whether the expression evaluates to true or false. So when I run this program, no matter what, I write a positive number, it gives me the number is negative. And if I write negative number, it would still give me the number is negative. So you should never make this mistake of putting a semicolon just after the if statement. Okay, now I don't wish to differentiate all my negative numbers, but I want this for all the non-zero numbers. I also remove this. What should I write here? I would write a not equals to 0. So this would work fine. Whenever a is not 0, this would evaluate to true, and hence the statement would be executed. So there is another way of writing this. You can simply write if a, and this would work perfectly well. So let me write a positive number. I get the number is non-zero, 12. I can write a negative number as well. I would get the same message. I can write 0 and I don't get that message. So this is working well. But why and how? Remember we talked about non-zero numbers being evaluated as true and 0 evaluated as false. That is the concept being used here. So when I write 12, a gets the value of 12, that is a non-zero value, which means true. So this statement is executed. But when I wrote 0, this was 0, that is false, and hence this statement was not executed. So that means I can even write let's say a double equal to 0, and let me check it for 0. So this would print the number is 0 whenever a is 0. Okay, now let's say by mistake I forgot to write double equal to and instead wrote a single equal to. What would this lead to? I write 12, I get 0. I write 0, I still get 0. So what is happening? Okay, so I write a, and a is assigned the value of 12 or 0 depending upon what I give the input. Then this statement is executed. So what is happening? A equals to 0 assigns the value of 0 to a. So no matter what I inputted, I gave input as 12 or I gave input as 0, a is assigned a value of 0 over here. And then this whole expression evaluated to 0, that is false. So this statement is never executed, and I directly get cout a, and a is now 0 no matter what the input is. So finally 0 is printed. So this is another mistake which is usually made. Okay, now let's say I have another variable, a character, and I want to check that my number should be 0, and in addition my character variable should be equals to a lowercase a. Can I write two statements here? No. Remember I said that whatever is written inside this brackets should be either true or false and nothing else. What does these two statements mean? That is not either true or false. So I need to combine these two statements. So we talked about and or, the logical operators and or and not. So I can use them here. So I write and. So this would evaluate to true when a is equals to 0 and ch equals to a, when both of these conditions are true. So I should write the number is 0 and character is a. So when I run this, I first need to give a number as input. So let's say I give 12, and then I need to give a character. I give a. So this cout statement is not executed because even though this was true, but this was not true, I can use the other one or, and now if I give the same input 12 and a, I get the cout statement number is 0 and character is a. I should have changed this to or, but never mind. Now what I want to show is the short circuiting property of this and or. So let's change it back to and. Let's remove this character. What I want to do is, let's say in this if statement, I am somehow trying to divide some number. Maybe it's not making some sense to be in the if statement, but let's say there is something like this. Now what would happen if a is 0? I don't write this. What would happen if a is 0? This would give me an error and the program would terminate. So I gave input as 0 and the program terminates because it is not able to divide a number by 0. Now if I write a not equals to 0 and, so when a is 0, this evaluates to false. Now because this and has the short circuiting property, this statement is not even evaluated because it's very clear that the whole expression would evaluate to false no matter what the result of this expression is. So that is how the short circuiting property of and or is used. Also note that if I change this order, I write this statement before and I write this statement afterwards, my program would still terminate whenever I write a as 0. So this order must be preserved. A not equals to 0. We must first always check that a is not equals to 0 before evaluating this expression over here. You want to try to run it, you can do that. I write a 0 and this time the program do not terminates but instead comes out of the if and simply prints 0. So okay, let's now convert our program to a number which differentiates between 0, positive and negative, all three of them. So let's change it to 0. The number is 0. Now if the number is not 0, I want to do something. So I need to write an else. If this is not true, do this. And what do I want to write in else? In else, I want to check for negative as well as positive numbers. So I need another if statement. If a is greater than 0, I want to print number is positive, and if the number is not negative, is not positive, I want to do another thing. So I again want an else statement. Else I want to print number is negative. So this is the if else statement, and since we have written another if else within else block, this is also called nested if else statements. So you can write if else within the block of if, within the block of else. You can nest as many if else statements as you want. So I can run it. Okay, I don't want this statement anymore. Let's comment it. So I write a positive number 1. I get number is positive. I can check for a negative number. I can check for 0 as well. It works fine. Now there is a shorter version of this. This is used very frequently. This nesting of if else within else. There's a shorter version of this. There is something called else if statement. So I can combine these statements as this. So if you notice, this is actually just a change of the indentation and nothing else. But this becomes more compact and it also increases readability to some extent. So if this is true, do this. Else, if this is true, do this. Else, do this. So this would also work fine. You can include as many else ifs and else as you wish. Now it's time for you to practice. So we'll continue with the previous program. Take as input marks in 5 subjects, calculate percentage. Now devise a method to assign grades to students. So let's say 80 to 100 is grade A, 60 to 80 is grade B, and so on and so forth. Devise a method of your own and then assign grades and print the same. You would require the help of if else statements to do this. So best of luck.